I'm a little short. I don't think I would have been able to reach that. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Patrick Shomo. I'm the president of the all-volunteer, all-grassroots organization, Maryland Shall Issue. We represent several tens of thousands of people within your state and within our state. Before I begin, I actually would like to take a quick moment to thank the chair, especially Chairman Valerio. As you noticed, I brought a few friends with me today, and what I'd like to say is that I think today is the model that we want to follow in the General Assembly in the future for large volume, high volume, witness testimony, rallies, whatever we have you, because I will just say that we feel like the General Assembly has bent over backwards to do everything they can to be as accommodating as possible. I know that we're not always the most popular view in the room, but I will say that when we talk about our Second Amendment, it's very important that we recognize the people who recognize our First Amendment. So thank you very much. I thank all of you. And on behalf of several thousand people in the building today,
Could you speak into the microphone? You could pull that a little bit closer and maybe even bend it down.
Basically, I just said thank you. We'll just move along. So what I'd like to do is we've heard from several people some very technical things. I'm just going to sum this up in layman's terms for you. The Supreme Court has been very clear thus far. Individuals have, every individual, every lawful person in the United States has the right to use common firearms for their own personal, individual self-defense. It's that simple. Nowhere is that right more acute than in the home. They've been very clear on that. So we heard lots of quotations earlier from Justice Scalia, and we could pick that apart, but we're not going to. Let's go ahead and concede the following. Guns in the hands of bad people are bad things. Maryland Shall Issue, and I think I'm safe speaking for everybody at this table and all the other organizations agree, we want to keep them out of the hands of bad people. And to that end, you'll hear lots of discussion, fomenting back and forth on the best technical ways to make that happen. Let's talk about the things we cannot do. Because we're talking about a fundamental right, and my friend Mark here was very clear about what that means, it's a civil right. When people sue the city of Chicago and D.C. and other places, and when those lawsuits are eventually won, as this one probably will be, those funds are paid to the winning attorneys out of civil rights funds under federal civil rights law. Okay, we are not talking about an abstract condition. This is an actual legitimate right. As we move forward, we talk about violence rates through, I'm going through the last hour we had with the governor's panel who graciously spent a lot of time explaining their point of view. As we go forward, you'll note that many times we heard the word handgun, and we heard the word handgun violence, and we talk about how many people were killed in Baltimore. There were over 500 people in Chicago who were killed last year, the toughest gun control city in the entire nation. 500 people dead. Most of them with handguns. Why are we not banning handguns here today, ladies and gentlemen? Because the assault rifles that we're calling these semi-automatic rifles haven't been used anywhere in Maryland in a murder last year from what we can tell, and the governor hasn't told us that either. So why are we not banning handguns? Very simply, it's a common firearm, and the Supreme Court has already clearly said you cannot. What they have said very clearly is that any weapon that is potentially useful in an offensive scenario is a firearm that can also be used in a defensive scenario. It's the thieves' veto. You can't ban something because someone might do something bad with it. You can't take it away from lawful persons. So as we move forward, we have to understand that as this right is applied to Maryland people, the lawful people, we have to be very careful not to diminish their capability to actually exercise that right. And that's what this does. Licensing. I'd like someone in this room, I've heard about licensing of fortune tellers, of stable hands. I've heard all types of I have been fingerprinted 200 times in my life, I swear to you. I've been doing government work for a very long time. The question that I have right now is if someone can tell me a fundamental right whose core exercise requires me to put my fingerprint on a platen as if I am a criminal. The answer is you can't find it. I'd like someone else in this room or anywhere in the governor's staff to explain to me a fundamental right in which I need to ask the state for a license to exercise its core function and to pay hundreds of dollars to exercise. The answer is it doesn't exist. What I can do is go through history, though, and find examples where such burdens were placed upon other civil rights. As an example, I would personally abhor the idea of asking a woman to fingerprint herself before an abortion, or to take massive education before she walks into a doctor's office and asks for contraception. I personally would abhor the idea of putting a fingerprint down to vote, to affirm your right, simply because there's the chance, the mere possibility, that I may not be who I say I am, that I may actually be someone who is ineligible to vote. We have vote monitors for that. And in the state of Maryland, we have state police. Those state police are charged with enforcing, and our state's attorneys are charged with enforcing laws which already make it illegal, very illegal, to buy a firearm for a prohibited person. We're talking 10 years in prison. Yet we cannot find cases where the state of Maryland has taken this seriously enough until now to actually prosecute. Ladies and gentlemen, we can go through these. I can bring to you dealers. They will tell you they've called the state police and the federal government and said, I have a straw purchase. It is as clear as night and day right here. What do I do? And the answer very clearly is, well, call somebody else, take a report. Prosecutions simply don't exist. We need to prosecute. There are things that Maryland shall issue does stand for. There are things we can do. There are things that we do support. We support strong background checks. We do support laws which will take the hands out of the criminal. And we do support laws that keep criminals in jails when they actually commit crimes with firearm. To that end, thank you, Chairman. I'm going to go ahead and wrap my remarks. We are here for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.